So would God ever lead a Christian to get a divorce?
Oh. Would God ever lead a Christian to divorce? Oh, come on, that's a good question, because I know people ask me about this question, so this is maybe a good time to start talking about it.
We know from Scripture divorce is not God's heart. In fact, it's the opposite of God's heart. But
Yo, we just talked about this today. I know what you're talking about. What am I excited for? Oh, cool.
we're
Okay.
made in His image and His likeness. I think it would be fair to say divorce is the opposite of our heart. We all want to run toward love, toward fidelity, toward covenant, toward self-giving love and partnership with another person. Till death do us part. It's how we're wired. Having said that, those who end up considering divorce
Rainbows and butterflies. We'd all love a happy ending, wouldn't we? Anyhow.
are doing so grievously because of some hard circumstances. And God may also consider divorce grievously because of some hard circumstances. In fact, in Jeremiah, we find out that God says to Israel, who is His wife, I divorce you because of your repeated infidelity, spiritual infidelity, meaning they are worshiping other gods, so they're becoming intimate with other gods. He says, I divorce you, but my plan is to remarry you again one day. And so Yahweh is a divorced deity, divorced and remarried, actually, to the same woman, His wife, Israel, and then that becomes the church in the New Testament, the bride of the Lamb. So when someone is in a difficult scenario and they're seeking guidance, we do not say divorce is never an option. We say, what does wisdom and what does love dictate? The New Testament gives a couple of examples of where a divorce may be acceptable. God talks about through Jesus in Matthew 5 and Matthew 19
I'm scared for
about
his reaction.
infidelity, marital infidelity as breaking the covenant. So if your partner is unfaithful to you with
Yes,
someone
that's
else,
true.
that may be an occasion to
think
get a
that's Matthew
divorce.
19.
That's the occasion that caused God to get a divorce from Israel in the Old Covenant, spiritually speaking. Having said that, God wasn't quick to play the divorce card and jump to that. It was after repeated infidelity and after begging and pleading and working toward unity, He realized that He's now just going to become an enabler if He continues to just do nothing about it. And there are scenarios where someone is so habitually unfaithful that we can become an enabler if we just say, well, I would never divorce you, so I'll let you continue to do that. You know, an enabler is someone who says, I won't participate in the crime, but I'll help you. I'm not going to rob a bank with you, but I will be sitting outside with the engine running in the car just in case you need to get somewhere fast. And so there may be times where actually divorce is the loving response. It says, you're not listening to my pleading and to my challenging. This is me saying, I have to bring accountability to your actions. Some psychologists say that people don't change just what we ask them to change. They change what we...
You know, I can understand what he's saying, and I'm on the fence with it. Nelly. Because, I mean, look, marriage in the eyes of God is obviously a covenant that's made between two people. And, you know, it's supposed to produce commitment and, you know, all these beautiful traits and everything. And obviously it doesn't go according to plan. There's always going to be arguments and this happens and that happens and, you know, it's their fault or it's my fault or whatever it is. But, I mean, I can understand the concept of what he's saying. You know, I mean, it's almost like to teach them a lesson so that they don't do it again. And I need to listen to the rest. So, I know what so I can grasp what he's saying.
hold them accountable to change. In 1 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul also says that there may be some non-believers who just don't want to be married to us anymore, and they want a divorce. And he says, when they want that divorce, let them go. It's in the imperative. Don't single-handedly try to save a marriage and force it to endure. If your partner wants out, then you are to, for the sake of peace, let them go.
Yes, that's not to say that you're not going to fight for it, or, you know, that's so, okay, understandable.
So there are some things that are allowable from a Christian point of view that are not God's primary will. They're not his heart, and they're sad. Just like a parent disciplining a child, it may be the right thing to do, but it's not that the parent enjoys it. Having said that, I will just leave you with this thought. Grace is always the highest option. When grace can prevail in a scenario, forgiveness, reconciliation, mercy, and there can be new life born out of that grace, this is always God's heart. That we can be assured of. Of course, the real question is raised, when do you know when you've passed the line? When has someone gone too far? When does grace itself become an enabling mechanism for someone who needs accountability instead? How can you discern that? That's another question.
He says a few things there, because divorce itself is a topic that's really touchy. There's a lot of people who's in divorce marriages, and the rate of divorce, I remember seeing this quite a while ago. This was years back, and I think it was for the stats for the US, and it was the first time he had hit over 50% of marriages end up in divorce. How true is that stat? I actually don't know. This is just something I saw. I was like, oh, okay. Just caught my attention. It was just something I was watching in passing. But the rate of divorce has gone up. And so it's become more of an issue in today's church, in our understanding, only because they're trying to normalize divorce. But I've noticed that this creeps into the church, and it's so true that people, they jump on the grace buzz. God will forgive me. God will just, and I can make however many decisions. And you got pastors doing the same thing as well. And the example in the church today, not everywhere, is really, really bad, because if the leadership is doing it, then we can do it. But remember, Jesus says to the Pharisees, because of the hardness of your hearts, they were looking for any reason to go and get a divorce. And he kind of narrows it down to if they're unfaithful. And, but the thing is, God, even in the Old Testament, he was faithful right up to the end. Even if you look at the book of Hosea and Gomer, he shows the faithfulness that he had to Israel by giving us an example of how Hosea was faithful to his wife while she was still sleeping around. So, good topic. There's a lot more to talk about, and I'd like to do a podcast on it one day. So, that's my thoughts for now. Be blessed. They're trying to normalize marriage when it was never meant to be so.
Normalize divorce.
Yeah, they're trying to normalize divorce. And so, sorry, what did I say?
Normalize marriage.
They're trying to normalize divorce, sorry. Marriage is supposed to be normal. What? Okay, cool.